I was raised in Oregon, and occasionally my family would take a road trip to California to visit relatives. I will never forget a certain truck stop along the way that had the most incredible selection of pies. Even as a child, it did not take me long to figure out that the most extraordinary pie of the bunch was the chocolate cream pie. The smooth, lush chocolate filling was unforgettable to me, as well as the cloud-like, heavenly whipped cream on top. This is my recipe for a deep dish chocolate pie. The chocolate filling is actually a custard comprised of 10 egg yolks and 3 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. I have a blind baked pie crust ready to go. You can find my method and recipe for this amazing pie crust in the card above. You can also find instructions on how to blind bake a pie shell. To get started making this amazing custard, we are going to separate the whites from the yolks of these 10 eggs. As you can see, I have 2 bowls, one for the whites and one for the yolks. I very carefully open the egg, keeping it in 2 pieces, and I use each half of eggshell as a little cradle for the egg yolk. I spill the egg whites out. Sometimes you just need to roll it back and forth. I have all these egg whites here, and I don't need to worry about using up all these egg whites today, although it might make a nice omelet. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in a freezable container, and I'm going to freeze these. Egg whites freeze excellently for up to a year. So don't feel bad if you don't want to use these right away. Now that I have 10 beautiful egg yolks ready to go, it's time to make our custard. This is my favorite pan for making custard. It's about 4 inches high and about 10 inches wide. I find that this works better for me than a double boiler, okay? As long as I continue to stir and I keep the heat low, it makes a really, really good custard. So I am happy with this. Getting started with our custard is really very straightforward. I'm adding half of a cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of cornstarch, 1/4 teaspoon salt. I'm just going to combine these. And now I'm going to add all of my egg yolks to this dry mixture. I have my trusty spatula and whisk combo to make our custard today. Now I haven't turned the heat on my burner yet. I am just going to very gently stir my egg yolks into my sugar, cornstarch, and that tiny bit of salt. If you notice how vibrantly orange these egg yolks are, it's because I am in Germany, and the eggs here are a really wonderful quality. If you live on a farm, you know this. But if you don't, you also can probably tell the difference. When we lived in Japan, the eggs were also of a superior quality, and it really is nice. So if you can find farm fresh eggs from your local farmer, I highly recommend taking the drive and getting those wonderful eggs. I'm just going to add just a little bit of my milk here. Okay, I have 4 cups of whole milk. Okay, now remember, I have not even turned on my burner yet. Once I turn on my burner, we are going to be kind of in like a sprint marathon, okay? If that makes sense. It's going to take a complete concentration, okay, we're gonna have to commit 100% to the custard. 110%. I was watching Bedazzled the other night with Brendan Fraser, and it's just, that show makes me laugh so hard. And when he's like 110%, give it 110%, that's what we want to do when we're making our custard. We're just gonna give it 110%. Okay, I am turning my burner up to a 4. I am not going above a 4 here, okay? This is an induction stovetop. I have these back home in my cooking school. It's all in storage in the United States, but this one's from IKEA. And I mean, if you don't have a really great stove, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars. Just get one of these. It's great. I really like these, actually. Okay, so I have turned the heat on. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to give it 110%, and we're just going to really stir here. Move this, okay? Now, can you hear that scraping? Scrape, 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 scrape. It's extremely important that we are scraping the bottom of the pan. So I honestly don't really recommend a, what's that? Non-stick. I don't recommend a non-stick. I recommend a nice stainless steel. 110%. You cannot go anywhere when you're doing this. You can't go check the laundry. You can't go look out your window. You can't let the dog out. You have to just be hovercraft. Okay, we're just hovering over this. And I am just adding small bits of milk. Now I want you to notice how I'm stirring. Once this starts to heat up, I'm going to do a zigzag motion. Zigzag up one side, zigzag down up the other side. It's kind of like a zipper motion. And then over time, you're going to get really good at it. And I want you to feel really super proud of yourself because you're giving it 110%. Okay, whenever it gets just a little thicker, just keep pouring in milk. You will know, you will be able to feel it thickening. So notice how I'm zigzagging down and then drawing up one side, zigzag the other side. You can, develop your own synchronized stirring motion and, see what you come up with, okay? Might be better than mine, and whatever works for you, okay? But we must continue to move this around. You cannot let it sit on the bottom of the pan, not even for a second. It's kind of a sport. It's very rigorous. So it is kind of a sprint because I am in continual motion, but it's also a marathon because I am not stopping until the end. All right, I am seeing it thicken, I'm feeling it thicken, and I've also noticed a couple lava bursts, okay? Once you start to see just one lava burst, turn the heat down to a 3 and continue to just give it 110%, okay? Now, I need to tell you that this can be dangerous. If you have a child, little kids, don't let them in the kitchen when you are doing this because it's very easy for this to bubble and pop, and really hot custard it will burn you. It's happened to me a few times. It really, really hurts, and so of course we don't want that to happen to a child. But we want to keep moving this until it gets as thick as we can get it. And that's how we will know that it will set up nicely in the fridge and make a really nice, clean cut, okay? So you can see, you'll be able to see now the drawing motion of my whisk here, okay? You can see lines now. on my custard, okay? And honestly, once I can't stand it anymore and I start to see big bursts, I turn off the heat. I really give it some stirs to make sure that it doesn't burst on me. Okay. Okay. Oh boy. I gave it 110%. It didn't curdle at all. You know, the reason why you need to move it so quickly is because you do not want that egg to turn into scrambled eggs, okay? You don't want it to curdle. Okay, so now, oh boy, whew, 110%. I gave it 110%. 3 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, okay? The burner is off, all right? And we're just gonna see if we can melt these chocolate chips with the custard. If we can't, we'll just turn the burner back up to like a 1 or a 2 for just a few seconds. But let's go ahead and get these stirred in. It's looking beautiful. So every year in my family, the day before Thanksgiving, I make a special pie with each of my kids. And it wasn't always that way. And in fact, I started Pie Day, the day before Thanksgiving, back in 2013 when we lived in Okinawa, Japan. Because in 2012, we were living in Pennsylvania, and I made my first YouTube videos there. And I quickly learned how difficult it was. So I felt really bad that year in 2012 because I spent all day making a pie video and I didn't get to make, I had to like kick my kids out of the kitchen. And I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. You know, they're little. And so what I did was I stopped making YouTube videos for 10 whole years. And instead of making videos and kicking my kids out of the kitchen, I instated the new tradition of Pie Day. So the day before Thanksgiving, my kids and I, each one of them, and I make a special pie, just the 2 of us. And so the chocolate cream pie was always my oldest son's favorite. And you can see how strenuous the makings of that pie, or this pie, is. And so it was perfect for a squirrely little boy who never sat still anyway. And so from 2013 on, he and I made a chocolate cream pie together, just the 2 of us. And of course this year we can't because he's now in the Marine Corps. In fact, that's his picture back there on my windowsill. So, so I always think of him when I make this pie, and I'm always glad that I took that 10 years to really establish my family traditions before I pursued my own, before I pursued this goal, right? And so anyway, that's the story of Pie Day and the chocolate cream pie. As you can see, we have this all beautifully mixed. It smells amazing. And I mean, the texture is so lush. Okay, 2 last things. First of all, real vanilla extract, okay? 2 teaspoons of real vanilla extract and 2 tablespoons of butter. And that's really just going to give it a nice glossy finish and just that yummability at the very end, okay? Just some butter, just melt it in there. We're just gonna stir. And now this is incredible, okay? Just the way it smells. I mean, it's just so good. And this is chocolate custard. I mean, you could just spoon this into cups and chill it and put a little whipped cream on it. I mean, people won't even believe it. And, you know, when I first got married, I tried to make a chocolate cream pie with just chocolate pudding, right? The pudding boxes. And I was like, no, that's not right. That's not the same as the truck stop, you know? And so then it didn't take me long. I mean, I would go to libraries and I would search used bookstores, and I started to find old-fashioned vintage cookbooks. And that is kind of the great-grandmother of this recipe that came about in time. Okay. Oh, gosh. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, I wish you could smell it. Okay, one day, okay? One day we'll have, virtual reality cooking where you can smell all the aromas and everything. Okay, so my blind baked pie shell. And all I have to do is, generally speaking, I like to let this just cool down just a little bit before I pour it into the shell, but because we're on a video here, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it now. If it turns out terribly, I will let you know and be sure to tell you, you must cool it down. But just look at how easily that rolls out of the pan. And now I'm telling you what, I did give this 110% because it is as smooth as silk. There is not one lump. Okay, and now if you do have a lumpy custard, don't even worry about it, okay, because you know what, it's hard to do this, and it's still going to taste amazing, so don't worry about that, okay? As long as you give it 110%, I'm proud of you, okay? Okay, so this is the hard part, okay? Oh, this is when you have to put it in the fridge, and I suggest overnight, okay? Putting this in the fridge overnight is going to make it cut really nicely, but we can't put whipped cream on it right now, right? Because the whipped cream would melt and then it wouldn't be so pretty. So we're gonna put this in the fridge. Okay, look at that. Look at how that moves like that. That's the good custard, okay? Just like that. And so luckily I made one 2 days ago, and I'm gonna pull it out of the fridge, and we're gonna go ahead and make whipped cream and put some chocolate shavings on it, and it's gonna be glorious. Okay, so I'll be right back with the pie I made 2 days ago. Okay, so we're at the best part, okay, when we get to make our whipped cream for the topping. Now I'm going to just whip up 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. I am using a German whipping cream, which is a Schlagrahm or Schlagsahne, which literally means whipped cream, okay? So the equivalent of heavy whipping cream. Alrighty, and so I've got my balloon whip attachment. If you are in a cold climate and if your kitchen has a bit of a chill to it, like mine does here in Germany, you don't really need to chill your bowl and your balloon whip attachment. But if you are in a warm climate, I suggest putting your bowl and balloon whip attachment in the freezer for about 10 minutes before you start. All right, so we're just gonna whip this on high. I've got 1/4 cup of sugar ready to go. And as I like to say, you just whip the crap out of it, okay? I don't really like using the shield because it's just one more thing for me to wash. But if it saves my clothes, then I'll go ahead and use it. I let my cream stiffen slightly before I put the sugar in, so the sugar can kind of suspend, right, and not just fall all the way to the bottom. So let your whipped cream get a bit of a foot to it, okay, before you add the sugar. All right, our cream is whipped to a soft peak, okay? That is gonna be just right for our pie. The best part of making our chocolate cream pie is topping it with this beautiful, fluffy, fresh whipped cream. And I like to just make little soft peaks in the whipped cream on top of our pie. Isn't that beautiful? And now, of course, I'm going to grate some chocolate onto our pie. This is milk chocolate. I find that it grates just a little better than dark chocolate. And that just really gives it that nice touch at the very end. And this is our beautiful deep dish chocolate cream pie. Should we cut into it? I think we must. That is so good. The chocolate custard is so lush and deep and rich. And you know, it's not too sweet. Although I don't think you'll need much pie to feel completely satisfied. It is so good. The crust is fantastic. Please go to my website, theflyingkitchen.com, to get a full lesson on how to make this pie crust. I have instructions for making it with a food processor and making it by hand. And I also have instructions on how to roll it out and how to blind bake a pie shell. So you can make a beautiful chocolate cream pie just like this one. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait till my son comes home for Christmas so I can make him his favorite pie. Thanks so much for being here. Please follow me on my social channels and subscribe to this channel. And go to my website to find lots of other recipes. And I just really appreciate you being here. And I just really do. I'm having a really good time. And so please come back soon for more fun, inspired, and artistic cooking here at the Flying Kitchen. And try to make this because you will not regret it. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.